Hello, I'm Tim Smith with the Adams County Historical Society, and welcome to another episode of Monuments Monday. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about the 88th Pennsylvania. So, we had mentioned in a former video that the state of Pennsylvania, an act was passed in the state legislature in 1887 providing $1,500 for each regimental association from the state that was involved in the fighting. And some of those regimental associations had already placed monuments on the battlefield. The 88th Pennsylvania had placed 3 monuments on the battlefield. They were dedicated on August 27th, 1883. They placed a monument on the first day's battlefield where they fought on July 1st. They placed a monument at the position they fought on July 2nd along Hancock Avenue, what is now Hancock Avenue. They placed a monument at their third day's battle position near Ziegler's Grove. So when they got their appropriation from the state, they added some more money to it, and then they put up a newer monument. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is this monument that is out here in the fields where they faced off against Iverson's brigade was originally back there on the farm lane that led to the Robert Sheed's house when it was placed. And so this monument was where the 1889 monument is. And once they dedicated that monument, they moved this one out here to mark where the regiment charged to on July 1st. Now, another thing that a lot of people don't pick up on, this monument, when it was there, was placed in 1883. That makes this the first monument erected on the first day's battlefield, even prior to the monument for the death site of John Fulton Reynolds. So it's kind of interesting in that respect. Now, I've always been a big fan of the 88th Pennsylvania, and here's the regimental history of the 88th Pennsylvania Volunteers. And of course, on July 1st, as part of Henry Baxter's brigade, they arrived on the top of Oak Ridge just as Iverson's North Carolina brigade were crossing into this area. That brigade formed up near Oak Hill, where the Eternal Light Peace Memorial now is, and they moved across the fields, aiming towards what they thought was the right flank of the Union Army on July 1st, which they suspected was near the woods over here south of us. Unbeknownst to them, it was the arrival of Henry Baxter's brigade on the backside of this ridge, and they moved up on top of the ridge just in time to see Iverson's brigade passing in front of them. They fired volleys into them, and then eventually the 88th Pennsylvania and the 97th New York actually charged out into the and captured members of the Iverson's brigade. Now, what's really interesting, when you read about the charge from the various regimental accounts and official reports, it is clear that the 97th New York was on this side and the 88th Pennsylvania was beyond them. When they went up to put up the monuments, and again, this one was put up pretty early, the monuments are actually reversed. And so if you look at the monuments, it appears as if the 97th was to the south of the 88th, and it's quite the reverse during the battle. In the fighting here, the 97th New York captured the flag of the 20th North Carolina, and the 88th Pennsylvania captured the flag of the 23rd North Carolina. And this monument, as it's moved out here, is supposed to mark the spot where the unit advanced to and where they captured the flag. If I was a betting man, I would suggest that the 88th Pennsylvania actually captured the flag of the 23rd North Carolina down 100 yards south of us or so, and that this monument is totally in the wrong place. And if you check out this next photograph we're going to show from the top of the Oak Ridge Tower in 1898, you'll see that this area had changed dramatically from the time of the battle to the 1880s. There was a house there in front of the area where the tower now is, in the field of Iverson's charge. There was another house, the Sheeds house was placed down there. This road was placed after the battle. It's not there at the time. The stone walls had been moved. And to make matters worse, the regimental history of the 88th Pennsylvania was written by a guy named John Vaudier. And throughout the section on Gettysburg, he gives a first-person account of the fighting. I can't tell you how excited I was when I first started doing research at Carlisle at the United States Army Military History Institute, and I learned they had the John Vaudier papers. John Vaudier was not present at Gettysburg. He was sick in a hospital near Washington, D.C., and most of what he wrote is a little misinterpretation of what actually happened. But, you know, that works its way into our story of the battle. Now, so if you'd like to, you can come out and visit this monument. Like I say, the oldest monument on the first day's battlefield, and visit the other two monuments to the 88th in different locations on the battlefield. And here, we're going to walk over to the 1889 monument that was put up with the appropriation of Pennsylvania funding. So here is the monument to the 88th Pennsylvania that was dedicated on September 11th, 1889. Pennsylvania Day on the Gettysburg battlefield. And that's when most of the monuments were dedicated that were associated with the appropriation of state funding that first came about in 1887. So some of the units were very careful in pulling together a committee and, you know, hiring people to come up with designs for the monument. And the 88th Pennsylvania was extremely proud of their monument design. We actually just recently had someone at the Historical Society email us with a suggestion to do this monument. And they thought that it would be interesting, and maybe you can put them in the comments if you like, for people to identify the various armaments, accoutrements, and equipment that is piled on top of each other on which the eagle is sitting. So if you'd like to do that, you can come out here, look around the monument, and see if you can identify all the different features of this particular monument. If you like our videos and what we've been placing on our YouTube channel, please share this with your friends and hit the like and subscribe.